an undercover documentary following archaeologist Gino Caspari as he poses as a buyer to trace looted artifacts from northwestern China to dealers in Hong Kong, aims to show how relics move from tomb raiders to private buyers and institutions, the filmmakers said.
As a general context, I'm an archaeologist. I have been working in Central Asia and Siberia for the past 10 years. And on my excavations, on my expeditions, I always come across looted archaeological sites. And this is not just in my area of the world, but it is a worldwide phenomenon. So the heritage is rapidly disappearing on a global scale. And during my research in northwestern China, I came across so many looted tombs that I really started wondering, where are all these artifacts going? And that was the initial trigger for me to then go undercover and track the supply chain.
The documentary, Among Thieves, shows Caspari and filmmaker Trevor Wallace as they discover looted archaeological sites in remote northwestern China before charting the movement of artifacts to dealers on Hollywood Road, Hong Kong's Antiquities district.
I think we were able to really show some aspects of this illegal trade that haven't really been in the spotlight very much. And I think that's the main achievement of our documentary, that usually when criminologists do work, they get to talk to the lowest level of looter, or they get to talk to the collectors. But this whole stretch in between, where the artifact, so to speak, wanders from the place of origin through the hands of smugglers, sometimes through organized crime, through the international intermediaries, that is largely undocumented. And that's a problem in understanding also the extent of damage that is being done to heritage.
I came across so many looted tombs that I really started wondering where all these artifacts are going. And that was the initial trigger for me to then go undercover and track the supply chain.
So we went around on Hollywood Road, we talked to dozens of traders, and we stated our objective of obtaining high-value items for a rich collector. And the Sanxingdui mask was one of the items that really raised an eyebrow, because if something like this would hit an international auction, then we are talking at least double-digit millions, and that gives you a bit an idea of how big the market can really be if that is one individual items that goes to such large numbers, right?
Using covert recordings with Caspari posing as a buyer, one sequence follows a gold mask that a Hong Kong dealer said was smuggled from mainland China and linked to the Songxing-Dui culture in Sichuan. To test it, the investigators obtained a tiny piece from the mask in the shop and sent it for lab checks, which found it was mostly gold with small amounts of silver and copper consistent with ancient gold.
We took the sample under the eyes of the trader without him noticing, and of course that was a risky move, but at that point in time it was clear that either this mask had been stolen from an extremely important archaeological site, or it was a fake. And in order to figure that out and basically understand which of the two crimes he had committed, because in the case of a fake, he would have, of course, tried to sell fakes to a customer, and that's also something that is fraud. We took this sample in order to analyze the elementary composition. I then asked him for a tissue and pretended to sneeze and put the sample into the tissue and put it into my pocket. And that's how we obtained the gold sample, which ultimately showed that it is likely a genuine item.
The mask's heavy brows, bold eyes, and wide mouth echo known Songxing-Dui pieces. We took the sample under the eyes of the trader without him noticing. I asked him for a tissue, pretended to sneeze, put the sample into the tissue and put it into my pocket, he said. Adding tests showed that it is likely a genuine item.
I would like people to understand that collecting ancient items is a pull factor in this market. It's the reason we do have looting, and looting is the biggest factor why we are losing archaeological heritage sites, and it is ultimately destroying the knowledge that we could get from the ground. And archaeological heritage is a non-renewable resource, and this is happening on a global scale. And I think, unfortunately, there's not enough attention on that, and so this documentary film that we created is an attempt to bring this to a wider audience.
He added that the film shines a light on the least documented stretch of the trade as objects pass through smugglers and intermediaries. This whole stretch of the supply chain is largely undocumented, Caspari said. The film comes amid scrutiny of Asia's art market. Hong Kong remains the key auction hub for Chinese art, while dealers court high-value buyers even as fakes and legal risks complicate sales. China has stepped up enforcement against tomb raiding and trafficking. Prosecutors charged 2,089 people in 2023, up 37.4% from 2022, the Supreme People's Procuratorate said in March 2024. Caspari said items tied to sought-after cultures can fetch huge sums if they reach major sales rooms, adding that a Songsing Dui mask, such as the one they examined, could command at least double-digit millions. Caspari argues demand fuels site destruction. Collecting ancient items is a pull factor. Looting is the biggest factor why we are losing archaeological heritage sites. It is ultimately destroying the knowledge that we could get from the ground, and archaeological heritage is a non-renewable resource, and this is happening on a global scale. The filmmakers say their footage shows how informal diggers, organized smugglers, and established buyers intersect across borders, an ecosystem they hope closer scrutiny and enforcement can disrupt. Among Thieves premieres at the Chagrin Documentary Festival in Ohio on October 11th, ahead of a wider festival run.